Hi, it's Sunday the 23rd of January 2011, and you're listening to Bernie Goldbach on audioboo.fm or reading me on www.insideview.ie. Over on Twitter, I'm topgold, looking at the Sunday papers, Sunday Business Post, and the Sunday Times with a little bit of an American perspective. You can't help but think that there's a meltdown happening in Ireland. This is the face, perhaps, of the new leader of the Fianna Fáil party. And throughout these papers, I'll talk to you a little bit about who he replaces, Brian Cowan, the impact of tourism in Ireland, time wasting, and a bailout the Irish people are helping to fund about tourism. Anya Coffey in the business section of the Sunday Times points out tourism could create 15,000 jobs with better marketing, and she says focus on the image. Marketing of Ireland as a destination needs to be overhauled. Why? Because it's now cheaper and there's a value for money message that needs to go out there. What I'd add is a big tip, lads. Why don't you incorporate things that incorporate real commentary from visitors, like TripAdvisor.com, not the 5-star ratings that you can easily buy on rating guides. Weeded out of the workplace, Gabrielle Monahan points out. There's some interesting stuff about the anti-smoking movement, and then she does cite some other working activity consultants that point out that beyond just the cancerous effect of smoking breaks, you've got other time wasters like discussing on company time the merits of X Factor, and they go so far as to say that Twitter itself could be cancerous, a waste of time lurking on those social networks on company time. Right so. Spineless Ireland lets the EFSF walk all over it. It's a familiar line from Damien Kyberd. He points out that the bailouts costing Ireland a whole lot more than people think. The money being charged, the interest rate being charged, is actually on the authorized line of credit of $22 billion, as opposed to the net amount of credit, $17 billion, that Ireland's being able to draw down. That's going to hurt Ireland. That interest rate's going to hurt Ireland. No longer a leader, but still a laughing stock, Matt Cooper writes. The lead headline in the comments section of the Sunday Times says Cowan's quitting the party helm, but it's just the start of a big meltdown. The overall thing is that the history is being written as we speak. Brian Cowan did not understand that a Taoiseach should not mix business with pleasure. As an American who's worked in the Pentagon, I often wonder the decision-making power of politicians just simply aren't understood. It seems guys just aren't trained for the image that they're putting out there in front of the public. The Cowan story reverberates on the front page of the Sunday Business Post. There he is, Brian leaving, waving goodbye in the Marion Hotel. Pat Leahy, Niamh Connolly writes a front page story about it, that Brian's leaving. Leadership contenders Micheál Martin and Brian Lenihan are currently canvassing as I speak. Inside this paper, though, some other better news. Once again, that tourism thing rings, some innovation, some effects of the general election that are coming up. You know what? Martha Kern's got a good article about the pre-famine census, a long scroll here that's being deciphered at the National University of Ireland in Maynooth. 300,000 people who were living in Ireland in 1841, including my descendants, signed that thing. Interesting to see where that goes. Interesting to see whether it can be part of a tourism package, because people come to see where they're coming from, where they came from. Inside this paper, some interesting stuff about Apple, who a lot of people would argue probably the most innovative company on the planet at the moment. Adrian Weckler points out there are some big misses, though. I would agree with him. This thing, Bluetooth. The Apple products that I have just don't seem to want to talk to bog standard industry Bluetooth components. And Adrian says FaceTime isn't actually a big win for Apple. I'd argue with that. I like FaceTime. I use FaceTime. FaceTime connects generations, but I could see his point. As a big uptake across other platforms, it's just not going to work. Tom McGurk labels what's going on in the Irish government now as a political pantomime, a circus of despair, and basically points out what many people are going to do when they meet these politicians on the doorstep. They're going to be met with a feeling of, we don't have confidence in you, the sitting politician. Plenty of other things in this paper that are of interest. Some of those, I'd buy it if I was in Ireland for a lot of commentary that's in it, including some that I just didn't happen to get to, which is Adrian's perspective about political tweets. Here it is. He gives a full page to this under the cover of Media and Marketing, and points out there's some leading politicians in Ireland are tweeting, and he gives the highest score, I guess, to Lucinda Creighton from Fine Gael, and Simon Coveney, also from Fine Gael. And Adrian's point that he leads with is, it wasn't RT News Talk Sky or TV3 that brought the news, breaking news, it's Twitter. And then he outlines why that's a big deal. I'm with him on that. I'm too close to Twitter to figure out the real impact. But I don't know the impact of this. Gadgets to go. Stay connected. Marie Boren, she's Pixie Von Dust on Twitter, gives you some really cool things to pack in your luggage, including this, the Blue Lounge Refresh, €81 from Firebox.com. Recommended. I have been told that I'm going to be spending time in this back garden cleaning it up. As you can see, ball playing has started, even though it's still frosty outside. You can see where I am on www.insideview.ie. Check out my photo stream, flickr.com/photo/Irish Eyes, or follow me on my blog, www.insideview.ie. Thanks for listening to an American's view of the news in Ireland. Bye for now.